sit down with the finance committee, but we're not gonna have any trouble making this work. But that was our choice. I mean, you could spend 45 or 50,000 for another used bus, but we thought purchasing 2 new ones and spread it out over a 3 or 4 year payment would be the same thing as buying 2 new ones in the first 3 years, you know what I mean? It'd be the same scenario, so. That was our thought, and again, I think the committee worked really hard on this, and they investigated, and they read through the spec sheets, and again, these new buses, any warranty work that local mechanics are not approved to do can be done 18 miles away at this new safety center. If you look at the prices on the front page of that stuff, there really wasn't no, on the big buses especially, we didn't even consider price because they were all within $400 or $500 of each other. Really wasn't a factor. So we looked at some of the other features, and the Thomas bus has a tremendous chassis system, and I can't remember how they call it, some kind of an air cushion system. And
they have air ride suspension, and that'll be a lot less stress on the body and the frame to cut it right. They're going to have air brakes.
He was going to bring one out here tonight, but we didn't feel like it'd be fair to the other vendors if we let him come out here. But he had one, he was driving it out here, and I told him it might not be wise to do that.
I guess the other thing that we recently talked about too is they had somewhat of a special, the buses either we ordered in, spec'd out or whatever, where it would possibly cost us another $3,000 or $4,000 if we didn't take one of these buses that are coming in. On a new one anyway.
And he actually reduced the price on the minibus after his first proposal. He actually got the car seats and reduced his price a little bit on that, so. I would answer any questions, though. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but we gotta do this, and we gotta do it right, and we've saved the last 5 years with our contract to do it. I think we're gonna be fine, but I understand some concern about it.
Well, I'm just glad to see the different types of buses. I think a couple meetings ago, I think Sherry had a question about why are we just going with the one bus company?
Yeah, I feel.
And she got a little pushback from, from us or part of us, and so I appreciate the questioning, and I think that's what the new board members ought to do, and we probably should do that more often. I think it's good and healthy, and that's why we're here, so I appreciate it. It's always uncomfortable, as it was maybe a few minutes ago, but you're doing the right thing, and I appreciate it, because this is what you produced this time from last meeting, and I feel much better voting for this, so thank you.
And Nick, Roger, there was no intention of only using one company.
Well,
The reason we got one price was so that I could speculate the budget out. Remember those budget sheets I sent home? I had to have an estimate of at least what it would cost us to get back in it. So that's why we just had one company give us an original proposal so we could estimate what it would cost us budget-wise to jump back in it. But I agree. I think it's nice to be able to look at different options.
Great.
Okay, so Tom, I mean, originally the only talk was about Bluebird. You were going to buy Bluebirds. Is Thomas a Bluebird? Is that a different bus?
Yeah, we were not going to buy a Bluebird. We looked at Bluebird just to get a price to estimate the budget. But the 3 buses we looked at, Greg, were.
But Thomas is a bus. Is that? I don't know
Right.
buses.
It's a brand. Just
Okay,
like
all
Bluebird.
right.
Thomas.
So that'd be like John Deere.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
Thomas, Bluebird, and International were the
Okay.
3.
Okay.
3 different ones.
And then of those 3, you chose the Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay.
For serviceability, because our local mechanics can work on the Cummins engine,
Okay.
and the Thomas also had a 20 horsepower larger engine,
Larger. Okay.
and the air ride suspension and air brakes.
They came with more features
Okay.
comparatively to the other ones, and they were priced very similar.
Okay.
Do you know when we plan to take possession?
This summer,
Not till after May.
not till after May. There's really no reason to, really, with our contract through May. I suppose something occurred that we wanted to get one. I mean,
That's what I was thinking.
if we get to the last day and they're mad about the contract and pull out on us, we may be scrambling, but
That was my
But we-
question. I'm glad
we-
you're asking that.
we don't-
I think it would hurt to have it.
we don't pay them till after the board meeting every month, so they'd miss out about a $20,000 payment if they tried to do anything. So I don't think they'll risk that, to be honest.
If you're comfortable with that.
Well, you never know. never know. I'm hoping that they're, give us the same service they did until the end of the contract, Dennis, but I haven't officially told them yet that we're not gonna do it, because tonight was the night we were deciding, so tomorrow I'll probably call them and we'll see what happens after that.
Any other discussion?
I just want to jump in. Thank you, Roger, I appreciate that. As we're making these decisions, and I gave you the permission to go, I think that the more information that we have, the better the decisions are going to be for us to make. And I also appreciate the time that the Transportation Committee has put in on this, but it would be nice if the rest of the board who's being asked to make those decisions had a little bit of information before we were asked to vote on it.
Mark, Randy, Jim, and Mike West, thank you very much for your time. I know it's extra time here, and that's what we're here about, so Mark, you also.
He's got one more emotion though.
Oh,
We gotta go on this one.
We gotta vote on this one.
Okay. We gotta vote on this one.
Wait, need to call vote.
Let's go for a vote.
Donovan.
Yes.
Kleinschmidt.
Yes.
Jacobson.
Yes.
Lightline.
Yes.
Nunn.
Yes.
Oshner, yes. Shelkoff. Delmeyer.
Yes.
Maloli.
Yes.
Okay, I got one more. We also feel that, buying these 4 used buses, could, if you find a good one, we're probably gonna need to act. And there would be some concern if they found it 3 days after our board meeting and have no way to money. So I guess what we're proposing is that we're gonna try to use the depreciation fund for purchasing the used buses. So I guess we would like permission to have the Transportation Committee be able to act upon, make a decision and act upon buying a used bus as they come if we feel that it's a good one and we don't want to miss out on it. But we can give us a cap of $120,000. So if we get 3 buses purchased and we have $5,000 left as an example, then we would come back to you and say, maybe you need some more money, or if we find one on a Monday and we can act on it that night, then we can act on it that night, or Friday, before the, but I guess we're just looking for some leeway, so we don't have to wait for a meeting to buy something if it's gonna be, probably most of these are gonna be first come, first served.
Payment would still be made at a board meeting, the approval to pay, but we want the authority as a transportation committee to go look at a bus and tell the guy, we're gonna take this one. And so that we get it, so that when we come back and then whatever the payment would still have to be approved at the board, but, if we have to wait every month to have the board approve of what we selected, we're afraid we're gonna lose out on the
Yeah, I
vehicles.
definitely agree with that. There's a short window of opportunity we'd like to do this.
So I would like to make,
We definitely should do that.
okay, so I would like to make a motion that the board give the Transportation Committee authority to select 4 used buses not to exceed the total price of $120,000 to be paid out of the depreciation fund.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
There is another option. There could be an emergency meeting called. I would be more comfortable.
But what if?
We
Or
have to
something.
have
You might have 5.
5 of us. Yep.
And you really need to advertise.
Not an emergency.
But I'm not sure buying a bus would be considered an emergency.
You're
I know
just
what
looking
saying, you'd like to be
at
included.
65 passenger, any model, just as they come.
Anywhere from 57 to 70 passenger. Right now we have a lot of 59s, Greg, but we
Okay.
thought 65 is the ideal, but when you're looking for used, we'll rotate around.
So these are not necessarily Thomas or whatever, just.
No, they wouldn't necessarily be Thomas. so.
None of these nice passenger old buses like that.
And if we said, yeah, we're gonna take that 2005 Thomas bus you have, and then we come to the board meeting, gets voted down, then we don't buy it.
Well, the same thing happens if we say we don't want to pay for it and we've got it. What's the difference?
Well, I guess that's what we're asking today, is to have a minimum budget.
So, Mr. Norvell said that if we don't want to approve the payment, then we don't approve the payment. What's the difference in that?
I don't know that I said that, but I said the board would do the payment, every board meeting. I mean, that's why we have the purpose of committees, so all 9 of us don't have to do all the work. And I think these 3 guys will do a fine job at it. I think you have to put your trust in them, Sherry. And, you know, they're picking out good vehicles for our students, and I think we have to trust them to do the work.
I guess I kind of be in agreement with what you said. It looks to me like it's very limited right now to find a 3, 5, 6-year-old bus. They're not, from what we've seen, they're not getting turned back in because of the economy. We can find a lot of 10 to 15-year-old buses, no problem. We'd like to find 1 or 2 nicer buses if we can. And we're afraid if we wait 2 or 3 weeks, that bus very well could be gone.
And I see your point there, Randy, because, and I agree with what Sherry's saying on looking at precedent, looking at everything like that, but at the same time, I have to agree with Randy that, you know what, if we do get that, I guess, going on eBay and stuff like that, it's there, either you grab it or you don't, and then you're standing there going, dang it, there was another one that just went by, that's the only fear I have.
Well, I think it'd be something that
That you guys
the
could.
3 of us would, you know,
Yeah.
have phone calls. I mean, I don't have any problem with calling anybody else on the board, but, you know, in my opinion, if you'd like to be on
There
that.
you go, that's a good
See, and
compromise.
that's why I said, I don't, it's not that I don't trust the committees, because that is not the case, that is not what I'm saying. But we're being asked as a board to make decisions and to approve payments for things that we have no information on. You know, when I say emergency meeting, that can be done in a matter of a couple of days. I understand what you're saying. I just don't want there to be somewhere down the road, well, we've done it this way before,
It becomes
for that to become an issue. You already heard that once today.
Any other discussion? Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Dahl.
Yes.
Lightline.
Yes.
Delmeyer.
Yes.
Jacobson. Yes. Kleinschmidt.
Yes.
None.
No.
Oshner, yes. Shelkoff.
Yes. Randy, I would like to see you say that. Okay.
We got one more bus question.
Yes, sir.
The money that was held, that Mid-States gave us, is that going to be used to purchase any of these? That would be like,
That's in our depreciation account. It's in there with other
Okay.
money that we moved.
so that money will get
It's like
spent on.
110,000.
Okay, we're done with all of your.
Any more, Jim?
Any more? Okay. Thank you, guys, I do appreciate it. Let's go on to, now we're into discussion items. The first one is the 2011-2012 calendar. It's in your packet. There's an A and a B.
All right, I will visit about it a little bit and answer any questions, and I'd like, the principals are here, and they're the big ones really for working our professional development with our staff, and so calendar B is basically the same calendar we've used the last 5 or 6 years, at least ever since I've been here, with some little tweaking. You know, when Apple came, we had 3 days of in-service in August instead of 2, and some things like that. But it's basically the same basic calendar that we've always used. Calendar A, then the difference is, if you notice that kind of off orange gold color that's on the first Wednesday of September, October, November, and December. Those Wednesdays, we're proposing, if you like calendar A, that we would have an early dismissal for all students, 1:10 and 1:30. And then we would have an ongoing professional development with our staff. We would probably use part of one day in August, part of the 15th and 16th, and then those 4, and then part of either January 3rd or February 17th. So we really have a period where over 6 or 7 months we could meet with our staff for 2 hours, which we think would be much more worthwhile professional development than meeting with them one day in August and part of a day in January and that type of thing. So we took it to our steering committee. Our steering committee is made up of about 10 or 12 people, and they